My name is Audrey Callahan, and I'm 35.
And the night my engagement started dying didn't begin with screaming or cheating or some dramatic confession under fluorescent kitchen lights. It began with a dinner I almost didn't want to go to. We were out with Ryan Thompson's friends, his people, the ones he'd collected over years, like proof that he was admired. The restaurant was loud in that curated way, all low lighting and expensive cocktails served in glasses that looked like they had their own ego. Ryan sat beside me, arm draped over the back of my chair like he was claiming territory. He laughed at the right moments. He smiled for photos. He leaned in and kissed my temple when someone made a joke about wedding planning. If you watched us from across the table, you would have thought, that's it. That's the dream. But I've learned something about the dream. Sometimes it's just better lighting over the same old cracks. Brittany was the one talking the most. Brittany always talked the most. She had that kind of voice that demanded an audience, and she used it like a spotlight. So he did it right? She asked, eyes bright, hands fluttering over the table like she was narrating a movie trailer. Eiffel Tower, flash mob, like actual dancers, tourists crying. It was insane. Everyone oohed and awed, leaning in. Ryan's smile twitched. Not much, just a small, sharp flicker, like a muscle remembering an old habit. Paris, Brittany repeated, like the word itself was a diamond. I mean, if you're going to do it, do it. I took a sip of water, letting it cool my throat. You're lucky, Miranda said, turning to me. Audrey, your proposal was beautiful too. That was true. It had been a sunset at the vineyard where Ryan and I had our first date, 4 years ago, back when we were still getting to know each other and everything felt possible. There had been his favorite flowers everywhere, a photographer hidden in the bushes like we were starring in a romance commercial, and the ring, my grandmother's diamond, reset and polished until it looked like it had been waiting its whole life to land on someone's hand. I'd spent 3 months' worth of savings on it. I didn't tell anyone that part. It didn't feel romantic to put a number on devotion. But I remember the way Ryan cried. I remember the way he said yes. I remember how he posted it everywhere. Instagram story, Facebook album, that smug little caption about forever. Friends congratulated us. Family started planning before I even finished cleaning up the candles. For months, it felt like we were moving forward. Then Brittany said Paris one more time, and Ryan went quiet. Not thoughtful quiet, weapon quiet. On the drive home, the city lights smeared across the windshield like wet paint. Ryan's hands were tight on the steering wheel. His jaw looked carved out of stone. I watched him from the passenger seat, feeling something shift in the air. It wasn't anger, not exactly. It was calculation. At a red light, he exhaled like he'd been holding his breath for an hour. I've been thinking, he said. Those words shouldn't scare you. But when someone says them like a verdict, they do. I turned slightly. About what? He glanced at me. Just a quick look, like he couldn't afford to linger. Your proposal, he said. My stomach dipped, confused. My proposal? Yes, his voice flattened. It wasn't really that special. For a second, I actually thought I misheard him. The light turned green. He drove. A vineyard? He continued, like he was explaining something embarrassing. That's basic. Brittany's was in Paris. Miranda's boyfriend shut down Times Square. Even my sister got a hot air balloon proposal. I stared at him, waiting for the punchline. It didn't come. I felt the heat crawl up my neck. Ryan, you said it was perfect. I said yes because I love you, he replied. And the way he said it felt like he was doing me a favor. But I need you to do it again, properly this time. The car felt too small, like the air had turned thick. Do it again, I repeated, slow. You want me to propose again? Yes, he nodded, relieved, like I'd finally caught up. We're already engaged, I said, voice thin. He sighed, like I was a child who didn't understand a simple rule. Not really. Then he reached down and did the thing that made my vision sharpen so hard it almost hurt. He pulled the ring off his finger. The ring, my grandmother's ring, the one I'd held in my palm as a teenager when she told me, real love doesn't ask you to beg. Ryan held it between 2 fingers like it was nothing. Not until you do it right, he said, and dropped it into the cup holder like a coin. I deserve a proposal story I'm proud to tell. I swallowed, tasting metal. Are you seriously holding our engagement hostage over a performance? My voice cracked on the last word. Don't be dramatic, he said. I just want what everyone wants, to feel special. He stared straight ahead, confident, certain, like this was normal, like I was the unreasonable one for blinking. I looked at that ring sitting in the cup holder, catching a faint reflection of streetlights, and something inside me went very still. Not rage, not heartbreak, clarity. Because in that moment, I understood that Ryan didn't want a marriage. He wanted a highlight reel. And I, apparently, was just a person he expected to keep filming until he approved the take. I turned my face toward him, kept my voice soft. "You know what?" I said quietly. "You're right." Ryan's shoulders relaxed instantly, like a knot he didn't even know he'd been carrying. "You deserve better." His mouth curved into a satisfied smile. He reached over and patted my hand like I'd finally learned my lesson. "I knew you'd understand," he said. "Maybe somewhere tropical, or, I don't know, rent out a stadium. Figure something out." He kissed my cheek like he'd just won. "Make it soon," he added. "Brittany's wedding is in 3 months, and I want a better story than hers." I stared out at the road, watching the dark stretch ahead. And while Ryan talked about skywriting and orchestras like I was his personal event planner, I made a decision so calm it almost felt like peace. I was going to give him a story, just not the one he thought. And when the world finally looked at Ryan Thompson the way I was starting to see him, he wouldn't be able to edit it. For the next 3 days, Ryan lived like a man preparing for a premiere. Not a wedding, a premiere. He woke up checking his phone before he even checked on me. He started wearing cologne on a Tuesday, just in case. He practiced smiles and reflective surfaces, microwave door, elevator mirror, the glossy black screen of my laptop when it slept. He also started talking about the redo, like it was already a legend. "Mom wants to know if she should fly in," he told me over breakfast, scrolling while he spoke, thumb flicking like the screen was an extension of his nervous system. "She says she doesn't want to miss it." I stood at the stove making eggs, the same way I had for months. 2 for him, 1 for me, because I'd learned the rhythm of his appetite the way you learn the weather. "That's a lot," I said carefully. "It's not a lot," he replied without looking up. "It's appropriate. This time you're going big." He said you're like he was giving me an assignment. Then he lifted his eyes and smiled, softening his face into the version he used when he wanted compliance to feel like romance. "I just want us to have a story," he said. "Something people talk about. Something that shows you value me." I pressed the spatula down too hard, watching yolk smear into the pan like a bruise. "I value you," I said, because it was the easiest truth to offer. It was also the one he would weaponize. "Good," he murmured, satisfied. "Then you'll do it right." The ring, my grandmother's ring, stayed in his pocket the rest of the morning. Not on his finger, not in a jewelry box. In his pocket, like a receipt he could return if it didn't meet expectations. When he left for work, he leaned in and kissed my forehead, almost tender. "Surprise me," he whispered. The door shut behind him, and the quiet in the apartment felt different after that. Not peaceful, charged, like the air was waiting. I washed the pan slowly. I put the plate in the sink. I wiped the counter in small, precise motions, the way people do when they're trying not to break down. Then I walked to the couch, sat down, and stared at the blank TV screen until I could hear my own heartbeat again. Somewhere deep inside me, I felt the first sparks of something I hadn't allowed myself in a long time. Anger. Not explosive anger, not screaming anger. The kind that gets quiet and organized. The kind that starts making lists. By the second day, Ryan was dropping inspiration like breadcrumbs. He sent me a video of a man proposing with skywriting, then a reel of someone hiring an orchestra inside a museum, then an article about a guy who carved "Marry Me" into a corn maze like love was a marketing campaign. "Just making sure you have ideas," he said brightly, as if he wasn't the one who had told me my first proposal was poverty-level basic. I nodded, smiled, played my part. And while he curated the version of me he wanted, eager, apologetic, desperate to please, I made phone calls. My first call was to the jeweler. His name was Elliot, and he'd helped me reset Grandma Callahan's diamond into something modern, clean, and timeless. He'd treated that stone like it had a pulse. When he answered, his voice was warm. "Audrey, how's the ring holding up?" I swallowed. "That's actually why I'm calling." There was a beat of silence, like he heard the weight in my tone before I finished. "I need advice," I said. "Hypothetical advice." "I don't love hypotheticals," Elliot replied, gently. "But go ahead." "My fiancé," I said, the word tasting strange now, "took the ring off. He returned it. He says the engagement isn't real until I propose again. Bigger." Elliot didn't speak for a second. Then softly, "He did what?" I closed my eyes. "He pulled it off in the car," I said, like it was nothing. Elliot exhaled, sharp. "That ring is not nothing. That ring is an heirloom. It's history. It's... Audrey, I remember your grandmother's paperwork. I remember the way you talked about her." My throat tightened. "I know." And he put it where? Elliot asked, voice rising. In his pocket. Then, in his bag. Sometimes he tosses it in his nightstand drawer, like it's a spare key. I heard a faint sound on the other end. Maybe Elliot setting something down too hard. That is obscene, he said, and for the first time since Ryan's demand, I felt seen. I'm sorry, I know you love him, but that's not how you treat someone's family legacy. A part of me wanted to defend Ryan out of habit, but I didn't. I just said thank you for saying that. Elliot's voice softened again. What do you need from me? I need to know what options I have, I said carefully, if I get it back. If you get it back, Elliot echoed. Okay, yes. I can verify authenticity, provide documentation, help you secure it. Just tell me you're not giving him a new ring. I almost laughed. No, I said, I'm not. I hung up and stared at my hands, the skin pale from gripping the phone too tightly. One call down. More to go. The second call was to Jake. Jake was my friend from college who went into law because he enjoyed arguing the way some people enjoyed running marathons. He thrived on logic, technicalities, the exact meaning of words. When he answered, he didn't say hello. He said, Audrey, if you tell me you've gotten yourself arrested, I'm hanging up. I haven't, I said, yet. That got his attention. Okay, that yet is doing a lot of work. What's going on? I paced the kitchen, keeping my voice low even though I was alone. Hypothetical question, I said. Engagement rings. If someone returns one, does that mean anything legally? Jake made a thoughtful sound. Depends. Who bought it, what state you're in, whether it's considered a conditional gift. Why? I gave my boyfriend my grandmother's ring, I said. He handed it back and said he won't be engaged until I redo the proposal. Jake went quiet. Then, he returned it? Yes. And you have proof of that? Jake asked, immediate and sharp. I hesitated. Not yet. Get proof, Jake said. Text him about it. Something simple, like, are you still keeping the ring in your bag, or do you want me to hold on to it? Make him respond. My pulse quickened. Jake. I'm not saying you're going to court, he said. I'm saying don't be naive. People get weird when their ego is threatened. An engagement ring is not just jewelry, it's leverage. And he's already using it as leverage emotionally. That sentence landed in me like a door slamming shut. Jake continued. If he gave it back, and you can show he rejected it, that matters. Especially if you bought the setting, or it's your family's property. He can't just keep it hostage while demanding a second performance. I stopped pacing. My kitchen suddenly felt like a war room. Okay, I said. Okay, thank you. Jake sighed. Audrey, are you safe? I leaned against the counter, eyes stinging. Yes, I said. I'm just waking up. Jake's voice softened. Good. Stay awake. That night, Ryan came home buzzing. He tossed his keys onto the counter like a man arriving after applause. You know Sarah from my department? He asked, shrugging off his jacket. She swears she saw you near a jewelry store. I didn't flinch. I didn't even blink too fast. I had errands, I said lightly. Ryan's eyes lit up. You're getting me a bigger ring, aren't you? The fact that he said it like a child asking if Santa was real made something cold slide down my spine. Just handling business, I said. He grinned, walked over, and kissed me. Quick, claiming. Then he pulled his phone out and turned it toward me. A Pinterest board. Bright, glossy photos of women screaming into their hands. Men on one knee in absurd settings. Captions like, he did it right. Ryan tapped the screen. I'm just saying, this is the standard. The standard. As if love came with the grading rubric. I forced a smile. I'll keep it in mind. He squeezed my waist, pleased with himself. That's my girl, he murmured. And that was the moment I realized something else. Ryan didn't see me as a partner. He saw me as a producer, someone who existed to build his image with her hands and then stand off camera when the applause started. The next morning, I sent the text Jake suggested. It was simple, sweet, harmless looking. Me. Hey, about the ring. Do you still want to hold on to it, or should I keep it safe until the big day? Ryan responded within minutes. Ryan, I'm keeping it. You'll give it back when you do this right. I want it on camera. I stared at the screen, heart thudding, not from pain this time, from certainty. Proof. Then I typed back. Me. Okay, I want everything to be perfect. Ryan reacted with a heart. A heart. Like he'd just trained me successfully. I set my phone down, walked to the window, and watched him get into his car in the parking lot below. He didn't look up. He didn't wave. He didn't even think to wonder why I sounded calm. Because he didn't understand the difference between calm and defeated. By Friday night, he was practically vibrating. He kept pacing the living room, checking his reflection in the dark TV screen like it was a mirror. Tomorrow, he said, breathless.
I can feel it. You've been so secretive.
I sat on the couch with a book open in my lap, turning pages without reading a single word. Get some sleep, I told him. Tomorrow's going to be memorable. He smiled like he was already imagining the comments. Saturday morning, our big day, Ryan was up at 6. Full shower, styled hair, his best shirt, the one he wore when he wanted to look expensive. He came into the kitchen like he was stepping onto a stage. I'm ready, he announced, and his voice was bright with certainty. Whatever you planned, I'm ready. I set down my mug slowly. Actually, I said, keeping my tone casual, I have to run to the office real quick. I forgot something important. His face fell. On a Saturday? He snapped, but then he caught himself, smoothing his expression like he remembered he was supposed to be charming. But I thought today was... It is, I said sweetly. Just not the way you think. He blinked. What does that mean? I stood, grabbed my keys, and kissed his cheek. Why don't you go meet Brittany for brunch? I suggested. Take your time. I'll meet you after. He hesitated, suspicion flickering in his eyes. Then excitement drowned it, because he wanted to believe. Fine, he said, trying to sound in control. But this better not mean you're postponing. I smiled. Trust me, I whispered. Everything is happening exactly as planned. He left at 8. He took his usual route to downtown, and I watched him go from the window like you watch a match approach a fuse. My phone was in my hand. My heart was steady. At exactly 8:07, it rang. Ryan's name lit up my screen. I answered, voice calm. Hey. On the other end, there were car horns, traffic noise, and Ryan screaming. What the hell is this? I let a beat of silence stretch. What's wrong, babe? I asked softly. The billboard, he yelled. The giant billboard on Route 9. My face is on it. I leaned back against the kitchen counter, eyes closing. What billboard? I asked, like I didn't know. The one that says... His voice cracked into something panicked and high. That I said your proposal wasn't good enough. It has my Instagram handle. I hummed thoughtfully. Oh, I said, that one. There was a horrible pause. Then his breathing sped up. Audrey, he said, voice dropping into something dangerous. What did you do? I smiled at the empty kitchen, at the quiet I'd earned the hard way. I gave you what you wanted, I said. A story. Ryan didn't scream right away. That came later. At first, there was this hollow silence on the line, punctuated by the sound of his turn signal clicking too fast, like it was anxious, too. What story? He asked finally. I imagined him there, sitting in his car, sunlight hitting his windshield, eyes darting between lanes, and the massive rectangle towering over the road like a judgment he couldn't outrun. The one you asked for, I said evenly. Something memorable, something people would talk about. Audrey, he snapped, and I heard his door slam, the echo sharp and metallic. This isn't funny. Take it down. Right now. I could hear voices in the background. People slowing down, someone laughing, someone honking not in anger, but recognition. Oh, I said lightly. You've only seen the first one. His breath hitched. First? What do you mean first? There are 3 on your route, I continued, like I was explaining a grocery list. I wanted to make sure no one missed the context. What context? He shouted. The part where you handed back my grandmother's ring and told me I wasn't engaged until I performed better, I replied. That's important background. There it was, the sound I hadn't heard from Ryan in 4 years. Fear. I'm pulling over, he said, voice shaking. People are staring. My coworkers. This road goes straight to the office. Everyone can see this. I closed my eyes, picturing the second billboard now in view. Big white background. Clean black text. He returned the ring and demanded a redo. Screenshots don't lie. You put my texts up there? He whispered. Technically, I said. You put them up there. I just enlarged the font. This is harassment, he said weakly. This is insane. You wanted public, I reminded him. You wanted cameras, likes, a story you were proud to tell. I paused, letting the words land. Congratulations, you're viral. The sound that came out of him then wasn't anger. It was panic. I can't go to work like this, he said. Audrey, this could ruin me. My reputation, my career. My proposal, I cut in gently, apparently wasn't good enough either. Funny how that works. He swallowed hard. I could hear it. Okay, he said quickly. Okay, fine. You made your point. Take them down and we'll talk. I'll put the ring back on. We'll forget this happened. I laughed. It slipped out before I could stop it. Ryan, I said softly, you don't get to rewind the moment just because the audience showed up. What audience? He snapped. There's a 3rd billboard, I said, just past the bridge. There was a horrible stretching silence. Then, no, Audrey, don't. I imagined him driving again, heart pounding, eyes flicking ahead. When he saw it, he didn't scream. He went quiet. That one was simpler, smaller text, no screenshots, just a sentence. Audrey Callahan is single, no proposals required. Underneath, in smaller letters, ring being donated to a children's hospital. What does that mean? He asked, voice hollow. What do you mean donated? It means, I said calmly, that the ring you returned, the one you said wasn't good enough to wear, has found a better purpose. That's my ring, he yelled. I felt something cold and steady settle in my chest. No, I corrected him. That was my grandmother's ring. You gave it back, remember? I didn't give it back, he argued desperately. I was holding on to it. You said the engagement wasn't real, I reminded him. You said I had to earn it. My voice didn't shake. I decided not to. There was frantic rustling on the other end of the line. Fabric. A zipper. Where is it? He demanded. It was in my bag. I leaned against the counter, heart steady. Oh, I said. That. Another pause. What did you do? He whispered. I swapped it last night, I said, while you were in the shower, singing to yourself about how everyone was going to lose their minds. His breathing went shallow. You stole it? He said. I took back my property, I replied, and replaced it with something more appropriate. Silence. Then, very faintly, I don't understand. You didn't notice, I said gently. That's the point. He made a strangled sound. You can't do this to me. I didn't, I said. You did this to yourself. That's when the screaming started. Not at me. At the world. I heard a car horn blast. Someone shouting something I couldn't make out. Everyone's filming, he choked. People are pointing. Audrey, please. Check Main Street, I added quietly. His breath caught like he'd been punched. There's a fourth one? He asked. That one's my favorite, I said. I imagined it. Big, bold letters against a clean backdrop. Single woman. Accepting applications. No entitlement required. Underneath, a final line. Love is not a performance. He didn't say anything after that. I heard his car door slam. Footsteps. Someone calling his name. Then the line went dead. I stood there in my kitchen, phone still in my hand, sunlight spilling across the floor like nothing monumental had just happened. My phone buzzed again almost immediately. A text from Brittany. Brittany, what is wrong with you? He's hyperventilating. You're a monster. I stared at the message, then typed back calmly. Me. He deserved better. I hit send. Then another call came in. Ryan's mother. I hesitated before answering. Hello? There was a long, shaky exhale on the other end. Audrey, she said quietly, I saw the billboards. I braced myself. Instead, she surprised me. I'm mortified, she continued. Not by you, by him. I closed my eyes. I didn't raise him to treat love like a contest, she said. I didn't raise him to make someone beg. Her voice broke. I should have said something years ago. I swallowed hard. I didn't want to hurt him. She sighed. Sometimes hurt is the only language people hear. After we hung up, my phone started lighting up like fireworks. Friends, coworkers, numbers I didn't recognize. And somewhere out there, Ryan Thompson was learning something he'd never prepared for. What happens when the spotlight doesn't flatter you? What happens when the story doesn't go the way you planned? And what happens when the woman you thought you were training walks off the stage? The internet didn't trickle in. It crashed. By the time I finished my coffee, now cold, untouched, my phone was vibrating so hard it nearly walked itself off the counter. Ryan's friends first, then his coworkers, then people I didn't know but who somehow knew my name. Screenshots started circulating faster than I could open them. The billboards, photographed from every possible angle, captions layered with commentary, threads unraveling the story with forensic enthusiasm. Some people laughed. Some people were furious. Most people were fascinated. Because the truth is, people love a spectacle, but they really love a reckoning. Ryan tried to regain control within the hour. He posted a story, just text on a black background, dramatic enough to suggest seriousness without saying anything actionable. This is a misunderstanding. Private matters shouldn't be turned into public humiliation. The irony didn't survive 5 minutes in the comments. Someone replied with a photo of the second billboard and wrote, "Then why did you demand a public redo?" Another comment followed. If it was private, why did you need cameras? Then someone uploaded screenshots, my screenshots. The text where he said my proposal was not good enough, where he talked about doing it on camera this time. Ryan deleted the story, posted another. This one longer, more emotional. He accused me of being manipulative, of being emotionally abusive, of weaponizing shame. I didn't respond. I didn't need to. The receipts were already talking. By noon, his follower count had tripled. Not the way he wanted. The comments weren't hearts. They were mirrors. The first real crack came Monday morning. I was answering emails at my desk, trying at least, when my phone rang with a number I recognized but hadn't expected. Ryan's father, Gordon Thompson. I stared at the screen for a full 5 seconds before answering. Hello? Audrey, he said. His voice was low, gravelly, the voice of a man who'd built things with his hands and didn't waste words. It's Gordon. Yes, I said carefully. I saw everything, he continued. The billboards, the posts, the texts. I waited. I'm ashamed, he said bluntly, of my son. My chest tightened. I've watched Ryan turn into someone I don't recognize, Gordon went on. Always comparing, always needing more. Your proposal, what you did, that was generous. Anyone with sense could see that. I swallowed. I didn't do this to hurt him. I know, Gordon said. You did it because he refused to hear you any other way. There was a pause. He's staying with us now, Gordon added. Your name isn't welcome in his mouth here unless it's followed by an apology. I didn't trust my voice, so I just said, thank you. Take care of yourself, he said. You deserve better. The line went dead. I sat there staring at my computer screen, hands trembling, not from fear this time, but from the strange weight of being believed. The flying monkeys arrived by afternoon. Ryan's sister Ashley called first. She didn't say hello. She launched. You humiliated our entire family, she screamed. Do you know how people are talking about us? Yes, I said evenly. They're talking about Ryan. That's the same thing, she snapped. No, I corrected. It isn't. You could have handled this privately, Ashley insisted. I tried, I said. He wanted it public. She scoffed. You ruined his reputation. He did that when he decided love was something you earn with production value. She hung up on me. 5 minutes later, one of Ryan's friends, Miranda, texted. Miranda, I'm sorry I didn't speak up before. He mocked my ring for being only 1 carat. I thought it was just his sense of humor. I stared at the message, something sinking into place. It hadn't just been me. Ryan hadn't just been training me. He'd been ranking everyone. By Tuesday afternoon, the situation escalated from social to corporate. My phone rang again. This time it was Ryan's HR department. Ms. Callahan, a man said professionally, we've received a complaint. I closed my eyes. About the billboards? Yes, he said. Mr. Thompson claims they constitute harassment and have created a hostile work environment. I leaned back in my chair. I don't work for your company. No, the man agreed, but he believes your actions reflect poorly on the organization. There was a pause. Then, unexpectedly, the man cleared his throat. Off the record, he said, lowering his voice, is there any risk of continued escalation? Threats? Confrontations at the workplace? No, I replied. The billboards run their course. Then I'm done. Good, he said, sounding relieved. That's all we needed to know. Before hanging up, he added, almost sheepishly, my wife wants to know if the application's billboard was real. Despite myself, I laughed. The legal letter arrived Wednesday. A cease and desist. Defamation, emotional distress, damages. Ryan had finally hired a lawyer. I forwarded it straight to Jake. His reply came back an hour later. Jake, this is adorable. He drafted the response himself. Calm, surgical. Truth is an absolute defense against defamation. The statements are verifiable and supported by written evidence. The ring was returned and the engagement publicly rejected. No damages will be paid. The billboards remain. Ryan lost it. He started calling again, back to back to back. I didn't answer. Then came the knock at my door. Thursday night. Hard. Aggressive. I looked through the peephole. Ryan stood there. And he wasn't alone. Behind him was a camera. A real one. A man holding it, shifting uncomfortably. Ryan smiled when he saw me through the glass. That smile, the one he used when he thought he was about to win. I didn't open the door. What is this? I called through it. He spoke loudly, projecting. I'm a content creator now, he said. This is content, confronting my toxic ex. The cameraman glanced at him. Sir, she needs to consent. She humiliated me publicly, Ryan snapped. She doesn't get to hide. I unlocked the door just enough to speak, phone already raised and recording. You're trespassing, I said calmly. Leave or I call the police. This is still my home, Ryan argued, trying to step forward. No, I replied. No lease, no keys, no belongings. You moved out 2 months ago, remember? Said my apartment was too basic. The cameraman backed away. I'm not catching a charge for your meltdown, he muttered, already lowering the camera. Ryan's face twisted. This is ruining my life, he shouted. My brand, my future. Your brand, I said quietly, was built on making people feel small. He tried to push the door. I didn't raise my voice. I dialed. The police arrived before he could finish the tantrum. He told them I'd stolen his ring. I showed them the texts, the donation receipt, the billboard contract, paid from my personal account. The officer looked at Ryan, unimpressed. Sir, he said, you need to leave. As they escorted him away, Ryan twisted back toward me, eyes wild.
You'll regret this, he yelled. I'll make you famous.
I met his gaze. You already did, I said. The door closed, and for the first time in weeks, I slept. Sunday should have felt quiet after all that. Instead, it felt like the calm eye of something still circling. The billboards were still up, the comments were still multiplying, and Ryan, cornered, exposed, stripped of the applause he lived on, wasn't finished trying to control the narrative.
He just changed costumes.
The call came late afternoon, from a number I didn't recognize. I answered out of habit.
Audrey, a warm male voice said gently, this is Pastor Williams from Ryan's church.
I closed my eyes. Of course it was. I'm calling because forgiveness, he continued, carefully emphasizing the word, is divine. Ryan is repentant. He wants reconciliation. I leaned back against the couch, staring at the ceiling fan as it spun lazily above me. Has he apologized? I asked. There was a pause. Well, the pastor said, choosing his words like stepping stones, he's sorry things escalated. He feels you both made mistakes.
I laughed softly. I couldn't help it.
That's not an apology, I said. That's damage control. Audrey, he urged, pride can harden hearts. So can entitlement, I replied. Please don't call again. I hung up before he could respond. 10 minutes later, Ryan tried a different tactic. Sympathy. His Instagram reappeared, temporarily reactivated like a ghost returning for one last performance. A photo of him sitting alone on a couch, head in hands, lighting deliberately dim. The caption talked about depression, anxiety, public bullying, mental health. I read it once, twice, then closed the app.
Because here's the thing no one likes to admit. Vulnerability without accountability isn't healing.
It's manipulation in a softer font. The comments didn't go the way he hoped. You bullied her into proposing twice. Consequences aren't abuse. Therapy isn't a PR strategy. By evening, the post was gone. So was the account. The next call came from his mother. Her voice sounded older than it had a week ago. Audrey, she said quietly, I need to tell you something. I sat down. We found Ryan's journal, she continued, from last year. My stomach twisted. He wrote about settling, she said, about how your proposal was a placeholder until someone richer came along. He wrote that the ring was beautiful, but not upgrade material. I closed my eyes, the words pressing against my ribs. I'm so sorry, she whispered. Gordon hasn't slept. He keeps asking where we went wrong. I breathed through the ache, steady. You didn't fail, I said finally, but he chose to believe love was transactional. She cried then, quiet, broken sobs. He's agreed to therapy, she said. Real therapy, not Instagram therapy. I hope it helps, I replied, and I meant it. After we hung up, I sat there for a long time, grieving. Not him. The version of my life I'd defended so fiercely. The nights I'd told myself compromise was love. That shrinking was maturity. That silence was peace. I let myself cry for that woman. Then I stood up and washed my face. Wednesday brought consequences that didn't involve emotions at all. Ryan's employer called him in. Clients had seen the billboards, the posts, the spreadsheet rumors that were starting to circulate in whispers. His position, luxury brand consultant, relied on taste, discretion, and credibility. Public greed didn't fit the aesthetic. He wasn't fired, but he was demoted, junior associate, salary cut in half. Ryan tried to sue the billboard company. They countered with the signed contract, the approvals, the fact checks. He had approved everything by default the moment he demanded a public redo. The truth doesn't disappear just because you can't afford to outrun it anymore. The message that finally broke whatever spell remained came from someone I hadn't spoken to in years. Heather, Ryan's ex-girlfriend from college. Heather, I saw the billboards. I just wanted you to know he told people he upgraded from me to you, called me a starter girlfriend, said you were the forever model. My hands shook slightly as I read the rest. Heather, I'm sorry, I wish I'd warned you. I stared at the screen, the last puzzle piece sliding into place with a soft, sickening click. I wasn't special. I was strategic. And Ryan hadn't loved me. He'd assessed me. That same night, Brittany, the Paris proposal Brittany, went live. Her voice trembled as she spoke. Ryan made us compete, she admitted. He ranked our proposals, rings, locations, likes. He had a spreadsheet. The spreadsheet leaked within an hour. Columns, scores, ROI, return on investment. My name was there. High potential, needs improvement. That was it. Game over. No spin survived that. A month later, the billboards came down. Ryan sent one final message. An actual letter. Formal, typed. An application. He listed his growth mindset. Lessons learned. Commitment to change. Requested another chance. Jake framed it and labeled it Exhibit A, delusional thinking. Ryan moved out of state shortly after, living with an aunt, working retail, starting over quietly, without an audience.
His parents sent me a thank you card. Gordon wrote, "You did what we couldn't. Maybe now he'll grow."
The Children's Hospital sent photos of the playroom. A small plaque on the wall bore my grandmother's name.
That felt right.
As for me, I'm not angry anymore.
I'm awake. And when someone shows you who they are,
Don't ask them to perform better.
walk off the stage. The quiet that followed wasn't empty.
It was earned.
Weeks passed without sirens, without notifications spiking my pulse, without my phone lighting up like it was demanding a performance. The billboards were gone. The story had moved on to the next spectacle, the internet chewing something else apart with the same enthusiasm it once had for my life. And for the first time in a long while, I wasn't bracing for impact. People still recognized me sometimes. At the grocery store, at the coffee shop near my office. A woman once smiled at me in line and said, "You're the Billboard woman, right?"
I waited for the sting. It didn't come.
"Yes," I said calmly. She nodded, impressed. "Good for you."
That was it. No judgment, no questions, just acknowledgement. I realized then how much of my fear had never really belonged to me. It had been planted, slowly, by someone who needed me small so he could feel big.
Ryan's final attempt at relevance came quietly, almost pathetically. Not a call, not a post, a certified letter.
Inside was a single-page note, typed, formal, absurd in its restraint.
He apologized, not really to me, but to the situation. He wrote about growth, about miscommunication, about how the internet had distorted everything. He asked if we could meet for closure.
I folded the letter, placed it back in the envelope, and dropped it into my shredder.
Some things don't deserve a response. Jake later told me my case, the Billboard unproposal, as his law school friends had named it,
was now being discussed in a class on conditional gifts and reputational risk.
"Your grandmother would have loved that," he joked. He was right.
She always believed truth had a way of finding daylight. The Children's Hospital sent another update. Donations had increased. Families had written notes. Someone had brought flowers to the playroom beneath her name.
I stood in that room one afternoon watching kids laugh over toys and felt something settle into place. Love, I realized, is never about proving your worth.
It's about being met there. I don't know what Ryan's life looks like now. I don't check. I don't wonder. That chapter didn't end with forgiveness or revenge. It ended with clarity. And that was enough.
I'm still Audrey Callahan, still 35, still capable of loving deeply. But never again will I confuse being chosen with being evaluated. Never again will I mistake applause for affection. And if someone ever asks me to perform for love, I'll remember the billboards, and I'll walk away long before the lights turn on.